83-point winners, back-to-back pineapple trophies. Oh, let's get into it. How good was it just having proper football back? Yes, we had the match simulation last week. Last night we had Geelong and Essendon. Collingwood and Richmond tonight at Icon Park. They said there was about 7,000 people there. PIES ran out 83-point winners. Like I just said, we've got the Pineapple Trophy, which is arguably second to the grand final. Prestigious trophy, and we go back to back in that, which we absolutely love. But, oh my God, football is just around the corner. As I'm recording this, it's 11 days until we take on the Giants. It is just seeing the boys just go about it. Arguably, there was an extended bench, obviously, but we saw arguably our best 23 side, minus Braden Maynard, Degoe, Titch as well, if you sort of want to add him in there. And we'll talk a little bit about those injuries later. But the performance from start to finish was a little bit shaky, and we'll sort of dive into that. But the quick overview is that 83-point winners. At one point, we kicked 20 goals straight with only one rush behind. So 20 goals straight. We didn't kick a point, right? And we finished with 21 and 6. That when are Collingwood this accurate? 21 and 6 as well. When are we this accurate? What witchcraft? That was good to see. We saw our new recruits as well. Everyone contributed in one way or another. Everyone contributed, and that's what we wanted to see going into this game. One, we wanted to come out with no injuries, which we didn't, thankfully. And two, we just wanted to see not even a little bit more, a lot more than we saw in the match sim, where it just didn't look cohesive. There looked like there was 2 or 3 game plans that we were trying out, which is fair enough. It's match sim; it doesn't really count. In this game, though, we saw Collingwood at points go back to their best football, and I'm talking 22-23. But also at points, we saw Collingwood a little bit shaky like we had seen in 2024. Let's break it down. So the start of the game, the first half, we finished with 13 goals, 1, and Richmond had 4 goals, 10. In that first quarter, yes, we kicked 6 goals straight. Richmond hit 1 goal, 7, which means they had 8 shots at goal. We had 6. And at one point during that half, Richmond were on top in inside 50s. And in those first 2 quarters, our defense did look a little bit shaky. Yes, we kicked 13 goals, 1. And like I said in a video a while back, and I use Curnow as the example, let Curnow kick 6 goals if we're going to kick, 25 goals, 20 goals sort of to win us the game. But you can't always rely on that as well. You have to stop goals. And yes, to a point or to a certain extent, we did stop Richmond from kicking goals. But any good team, like really good team, is going to punish you, especially with having repeat inside 50s and shooting at goal. Like, not a lot of teams are going to go 1 goal, 7 in the first quarter, or just in any sort of quarter in general from 8 shots at goal. So thankfully, Richmond let us off the hook that way, because they weren't. They're still a young side, right? And we understand that. But it was a little bit shaky. Darcy Moore looks like he lost, or he's still regaining his confidence, it looks like. I thought I really liked what Reef was doing. He was shaky a little bit too. But Reef, it's a new role for him, and this is full opposition. He hasn't played against full opposition before, a little bit in the match sim, but this is proper opposition now. So you've got to give him at least 6 games before you sort of really assess him, or really, because I'm already seeing comments like Reef doesn't belong there, but give him at least a quarter of the season before we start making these assessments. And that way, he can build that rapport with Jeremy Howe, can build that rapport with Darcy Moore as well. There were times throughout that game where the Tigers were getting us on transition where we wouldn't be manning up. And I know this zone defense and all this sort of thing, all this sort of stuff, but they were flooding, and they weren't coming through that half back line and switching it really well. It was happening a lot in the second quarter. They were switching it well. They were running it through. Our defense was holding up when it was sort of coming in there at times, but the mids were just sort of nowhere to be seen. No one was really accounting for these Richmond players, so they were sort of getting us on that burst and sometimes getting us on that counterattack. In that second half, we did really shake it up a little bit, and things got a little bit more tightened, and that's where we saw the Collingwood of 2022, 2023 come into play. In that second half, we really put our foot down, and you can kind of tell that the Pies and Richmond to a certain extent were going at about 70 or so percent. Nick Dacos was going at 110%. He just plays like it's a grand final every single game, and we love him for it. He came off at in like 2.5 quarters. He had 32 disposals. I think it was 10 clearances, 8 scorer involvements. He was just absolutely everywhere. 8 tackles as well, 10 contested possessions. He was just absolutely everywhere. In 2.5 quarters, in 59% game time, he did that. So that plantar fasciitis injury is a thing of the past now, and we're seeing Nick evolve. We're seeing Nick, and I said this before, where does he go? What level can he go to now? We've seen it a little bit now. He's gone to that next level. That arching of the back, that iconic arch of the back, is just so good to see. Like I said, the second half is when we sort of put our foot on the gas. In the second quarter as well, scoring 7 goals is nothing to sort of scoff at. And what I loved to see was that fast, chaotic football. There were a bit of fluff kicks, turnover kicks where they're going high, they're going long, they're just trying to gain territory. And I know that has been our game plan for quite some time as well. But that run off half back, now that we've got Q, Houston, Maynard, when he's sort of there. Moore was doing it a little bit today as well. Josh Dacos, who was just a gem off half back and then snuck up forward to kick a goal. Same with Dan Houston, gem off the half back, snuck up forward to kick a goal. So that running Collingwood game is back, and scores off halfback are going to be, or scores from the back half are just going to go through the roof. Again, think of 22-23. New recruits. So we got our first real taste of Harry Perryman, Tim Membry, and Dan Houston. Now, I can go through every single player. I'm not going to, but I'll go through these 3 guys, right? Harry Perryman, game high, 10 tackles, 20 disposals. He was playing that sort of titch role, I would say. Still Cyberman was playing a predominantly inside mid role, and he doesn't look like he's lost the step. But Perryman did not touch a boot in the defense, right? Like I've been saying since fucking November when we signed him, right? Not going to play off halfback at all. He is going to be a steal of the draft. 800. Oh, but look, you're paying him 800,000. You're paying him 900,000. He can still be a steal of the draft because no one's fucking talking about him, right? That's what I'm trying to say. Tim Membry, 4 goals. So between Membry, Mychek, and McStay, they combined for 10 goals. 4 goals to Membry, 4 goals to Mychek, 3 goals, 2 goals to McStay. Like, God, just seeing them starting the same forward line gave me literal chills down my spine. Like you know what I'm saying? It was just, it's a tantalizing prospect if they can get it going, because Mychek's marking it 60 meters out from goal, and usually he can't kick to anyone because there's no one down there, right? Now he's kicking to McStay. Now he's kicking to Membry. Membry goes up and takes a mark, 60 meters from goal. He's kicking to Membry. He's kicking to McStay. He's kicking to Mychek. McStay, right? So they're working really well in tandem. So that's going to be interesting to see how that sort of plays out for the rest of the year. Where does Cox sort of fit into it? He's broken his pinky at the moment, so he won't be playing for a couple of weeks, you would sort of assume. But Dan Houston. Now, we know Dan Houston's not playing opening round, but he just looks so nonchalant when he gets the ball. I was seeing him pirouette, grab the ball, just a cool sort of turnout, hit a target, right, off like 1 foot. Kicked a nice goal from 50, the iconic Houston Rocket. Now, I said, if you've been watching me for a while, I've been saying that having Nick Houston, it makes sense, right? Having Dan Houston off the half-back line it was pretty much like having Nick Dacos' half-back abilities on the half-back line, but letting Nick Dacos play in the midfield. So pretty much you're having a midfield Nick and a half-back Nick in Dan Houston. But Dan Houston's obviously his own man, right? And the way he goes about it, this 2-time All-Australian, the way he goes about it, just even today, seeing him sort of up close, he is going to just improve us tenfold. And I don't just mean with his footballing ability, just with even his leadership on the field. And he's been at a Port Adelaide team where they haven't won a flag, obviously, but they've been competing pretty much every single year. Ken Hinkley's a great coach as well. So he's learning off that system, bringing that in, and where he won 2 All-Australian Blazers from. So he's just going to improve us tenfold. Harry Freeman's got 10 tackles. Membry's got 4 goals. That I know it's just a practice smash. I know it's just one game, but that is how these recruits pay their dividends throughout the rest of the season if they can keep that up. I don't mean Membry to kick 4 goals every week, but that sort of output, that good output. A couple of other guys I want to talk upon. Hill kicked 4 goals. So Indigenous All-Star game, he kicks 4 goals, kicks 4 goals again today. That's 8 goals in a couple of weeks. Bobby Hill can go to the next level this season. He kicked 30 goals last season. Remember, he was unselfish, giving up a few goals and stuff like that. He could probably, would you want him to kick that? Could a small forward like that kick 40 something goals in a forward line with those 3 big players? Probably. Elliot as well. Elliot kicked 2, missed the snapshot. That could have been a nice little goal towards the end. But Elliot kicked 2. Our forward line was purring again. It's just that defense that is a little bit shaky. But I am sold on that forward line. Absolutely sold on the forward line. Bo McCree, Lockie Schultz had a great game as well. One guy that I need to mention that you'll see it on Swooping Around. A couple of people do mention Patrick Lipinski. 37 disposals. I'm going to get his stats up because they were absolutely ridiculous. 37 disposals, 141 fantasy points, 5 score involvements, 4 intercept possessions. He went at 79% disposal efficiency, nearly 600 meters gained. His best game in black and white, alas, comes in a preseason match. But literally his best game in black and white, the most disposals he's ever gotten as well. And 37 is nothing to bloody scoff at. That's incredible. Playing off that in that wing role with Josh Dagos moving into the half-back line, I know in my best 23, I had him as the sub, I think. He's just proved me wrong. He gets picked, probably the first name on the team sheet. He's got 2 good shoulders now, and he's going to back his ability. He's been doing it all throughout the summer. So we're going to have a season best year from Patrick Lipinski. I do want to quickly touch on Richmond as well. McIntosh, Nank, Jaden Shaw, they're sort of senior players. A couple of the younger players like Brewer. Would you classify Hopper as a little bit of a younger player, sort of that middle-aged sort of bracket? Sims. They put up a good fight. Like I said, at halftime, they were leading inside 50s. They had equal amounts of shots at goal. They just weren't accurate. But they started breaking our defenses, started running it through. And, yeah, look, they're a very young side. They're obviously going to come good, just like the Kangaroos will come good, just like, West Coast eventually as well. Richmond are just having this sort of dip. They did get rid of a lot of good players as well, so they've got less senior players. But they surprised me with what they did. Through in that first half, especially, they really surprised me. So credit to them. Yes, it was an 83-point loss, but the scoreboard definitely didn't flatter them. But absolutely credit to them because they did play with heart. They played with heart. Obviously, we've got all that experience and all that sort of team chemistry, and they got all those first round younger picks in there. So you can't blame them. But, they played with heart and, kudos to them. So quickly, we'll touch on our injuries and something that Jordan Ruff had said at the end of the game. So Braden Maynard was left out of this game because of foot soreness from that plantar fasciitis from the game last week, he said. But I don't remember him playing in the match sim. Maybe my memory isn't just too good. But he is very likely to play opening round. You can tell that back line was missing Maynard's, not even just his toughness, but just his ability in that back line. His role was sort of getting done by Oleg Markov, who didn't really have that good of a game. Did some nice things, but also fumbled a lot as well. And Jordan De Goey is pushing for opening round, but they're going to give him all the time he needs to absolutely get his body right, because we know that at the moment, De Goey's body is, I don't want to say deteriorating, but there just seems to be a new thing every couple of weeks for him. So they're going to give him all the time in the world just to get his body right. But he is pushing for opening round. I don't see it personally. Maybe rounds 1 or rounds 2 if they really want to sort of give him that rest. But Braden Maynard looks to definitely be playing next week. And Jordan De Goey won't be. So look, all in all, closing sort of points is that I had fun. I was with mum and dad. We loved it. I love Icon Park. I hate that it's a Carlton home ground, but I love Icon Park. It's a great place to watch footy. I wish they had a bigger screen up on that blue shed that they've got there. But enough about the aesthetics of the ground. The pies just looked incredible, and it was nice to see us put a team away like this. Yes, it's only Richmond, but we've seen numerous times where, it's only West Coast. They haven't had a win all season, and then they come within 20 points. Or, the Kangaroos last year, where we had to come back from 52 points down or 54 points down to win a game. So it doesn't happen all the time. And if we can just get our injuries right, if we can just have that little bit of luck on the injury front, who knows what could happen, right? Obviously, the first big test is against the Giants, but this was just a nice taste of what's to come. It was, here, Pies fans, let us see what the Big M's can do in the forward line. Let us see how Darcy Cameron and Dan McStay go in ruck tandem, which they did really well in, might I add. Let's see Josh Dacos off halfback. Let's see Steele Sidebottom as an inside mid. So everything, we got to taste a little bit. It's like doing a wine tasting, a little bit of everything before it all sort of comes together. Again, it's just that defense that I'm a little bit how's it going in. But give it 6 rounds before we make a full assessment. I reckon let's continue this conversation after Anzac Day and assess those games going through. Keep me accountable on this. We'll assess all those games going through to Anzac Day and see how that plays out. So this is what you had to say about today's game. Matthew Rostovsky says, the forward line just clicked. Have not seen a Pies forward line like this since 2011, which is an absolute huge call because we all know ultimately how 2011 ended, but how good of a season, home and away season, 2011 was. Tyron Feliu, sorry if I pronounced that wrong, said, Reef McInnes is a best 22 player. Yes, yes, yes. Underscore J King 27 says Houston's impact across halfback is going to just send us to another stratosphere. Nath PK underscore says, looking really good, moving the ball around to the forward line, but defense needs to improve. And like we said earlier in the video, it did look a little bit shaky, does need a little bit of a top up. Wade Miles says, offense is fire, and defense is a bit like this, a bit like, ooh. What am I doing? It's too late. What am I doing? Ducky Boy Travel says Ed Allen's breakout year. When he came on, he only came on for that last quarter and a little bit. Had a fair decent impact just for a bit part in the game. And like I said earlier as well, I still think he's going to be in our best 23 come season's end, maybe towards finals. So it was nice that we got to see a little bit more of him tonight. Damien Bean, my man Membry, certain starter for round 0. 1,000%, 100% agree on that one. Antonio Ventry, new recruits look solid. Perryman looked great in the middle. Lipper was also great. There was a lot of Lipper love in these comments, and we love a Lipper love. 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 Oh, man, try saying that 1,000 times. Parker Williams says, so happy to watch the boys have what seemed like fun and wow, Josh Dacos and Houston off halfback. I think Josh Dacos off halfback is an absolute masterstroke by the coaching team. So that's going to just take us to the moon and back. Oh, well, I guess with Houston there, we can absolutely go to any planet that we want to. 6-barrel shotgun says, disregard our defense. Not many teams will cover our multi-prong attack. This is a new feeling for us. So this is something that I've also been sort of, toying with in my head as well. And kind of like what I said earlier on in the video, do you forgive a shaky defense if, I think it was Elliott's, Bobby Hill, Membry, Myercheck, and McStay combined for 16 goals. I know that's not going to happen every week, but we're like that forward line's like Hydra. You try and clamp one down, another 2 will pop up. So that's going to be a very interesting, almost like a double-edged sort of sword. Like, can you afford a little bit of a weaker defense if your offense is really, really strong? Billy O says, are all other teams just wasting their time this season? I think they are, to be honest. Black and White United, another Collingwood YouTube channel, says IQ looks like he's back. I agree. IQ slimmed down a lot, back to that 2023 form. JH Media, 21 goals from 53 inside 50s. Very happy with that. Ball movement looked fantastic. And it did. At times, that ball movement, again, 2022, 2023 sort of stuff. And that's what you want to see. It was more of the in the second half or that sort of second quarter and third quarter that we were seeing that. And finally, Brooks says, it feels like we're building something special this year, and I'm bloody here for it. Guys, thank you for your submissions. I'm going to look at doing a sort of phone line where you can call in, leave like a 10-second voicemail and play it here instead, because that Instagram stuff sort of gets a little bit gets a little bit too just silly with how I sort of do it. So I think a phone would be awesome. You leave a voice message, I play it, put some music and not music, put some video behind it. I think that would look absolutely fantastic. But that's it for this video. Let me know your thoughts down below. I'd like to hear all your thoughts. Also, a couple of things before we go. I have got a tipping competition that I'm going to be announcing really soon. So that will be announced over on my Instagram. When I announce it on Instagram, I do another video that it'll be announced on the video as well. I've got a really nice first prize coming for you. It is, I can't wait for you guys to see it. T-shirts will be released at the end of next week. The hats, I get them at the end of this week. So merch is going to start flying off the shelves. A great way to support the channel. But until then, like, comment, subscribe, tell your family, tell your friends, tell your pets. And until next time, double shackers. I'll see you later. Go Pies.